I want to raise something that I found very, very interesting. Let me read you a quote of yours. The so-called Plagal progression, 1-4-1, is entirely inadequate to the task. The subdominant harmony does not contain the essential elements, especially the leading tone, to set up powerful expectations for a resolution to a stable tonic. Instead, the progression is entirely suited to a prolongational role, especially seeing as the common tone between the harmonies is the root of the tonic. If the Plagal progression does not fulfill the requirements of a true cadential progression, then the formal construct of a quote-unquote Plagal cadence described in virtually every music theory textbook on rudiments in harmony must be seen as a fiction. Wow. Now that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, Professor Caplin, does the Plagal cadence exist?
Okay, so I'm entered into these discussions all of the time. I guess I'm a bit of a radical on this position. But,
that's good.
I really believe, let me back up just a little bit, because you spoke about prolongational progressions, or were quoting me. And I think this is something that's really, really important for my particular approach to harmony and to form. And that is distinguishing progressions that are used to sustain in our imagination, and this is a Schenkerian idea, prolonging a particular harmony, as opposed to the sense of a cadential progression of harmonies where we feel that there's a real march from a tonic to a predominant, to a dominant, back to a tonic. And the cadential progression, I claim, is a different kind of progression of harmonies than a prolongational progression. Now, what's interesting is that we find that these different types of progressions are used in different places within the phrase structure or the form of a thematic unit, let's say. That prolongational progressions are very good to begin the musical ideas. Then we often will have sequential progressions, which we might find in the middle of ideas. But then to really give the impression of how we are to end something, we want to have this very specific thing of a cadential progression, which allows tonic to really emerge as the focal point of a key, which is, I think, so important. Now, the Plagal progression, 1-4-1, simply does not have, as I said in the quote, does not have the kinds of structures that allow the tonic to really emerge as not just a tonic harmony, but really the tonic of a tonality.
It might be interesting, where did the term Plagal cadence come from?
Great question. It was only about 2 years ago that somebody wrote an article on this in in our society's journal. I read it and then kind of forgot it. It was some obscure theoretical treatise that this fellow located the use of Plagal or Plagal cadence. Of course, it does relate to modal theory from the medieval period, when people spoke of Plagal and authentic modes. But that probably is where somewhat of the source of the modern theory is.
So you're saying that in 18th century music, it's very hard to find this so-called Plagal cadence.
Right. But the reason is it is not hard to find Plagal progressions of harmony. But cadences, actual units that are used to close musical themes, those use dominant harmony going to tonic. Entirely through the 18th century, through most of the 19th century, but in the 19th century, composers start actually to writing something that I'll concede would be a kind of Plagal cadence. That's totally replacing our expectation of an authentic cadence, 5 going to 1. Now, what most people think are Plagal cadences when they hear them in the 18th and 19th century, this is the so-called Amen cadence, where the progression goes 1-4-1. I'm just going to go to the piano real quickly. That would be a standard Plagal cadence. But really, that is a cadence that we find that comes after the regular cadence. So the real cadence, the thing that really marks, if you will, the end of the theme, the end of the thematic unit, that moment is articulated by an authentic cadence, 5-7 going to 1. But then we can have the Plagal progression. And what I like to say is that the Plagal progression is associated with an after the end situation. So you think of a horse race. And the horses, they go, and then as soon as the horse crosses the line, the race is effectively over. But there still is the winding down, the horses run a little bit longer, and there's still commentary about what's happened in the race. That all happens after the end of the race. And I think that music features after the end things a lot of the time.